Standard Times today, the Globe, and probably some of the other papers, haven't seen them yet. And we have said to the Secretary of the Treasury coming in, and to the Obama people, look, we trust President to be Obama, but people have had such a bad experience with the Bush administration in the way they spent this money that we're going to have some very severe promises and some rules. So they're going to get the second $350 billion only if they do the following things. First of all, at least $40 billion of that, up to $100 billion, will have to go to help reduce foreclosures. Because as you know, when there's a foreclosure, it doesn't just hurt the people who are losing their homes. It hurts the whole neighborhood. It hurts the cities and towns, and it hurts the whole economy. We put into the original bill, do something about foreclosures. Paulson refused to do it. And you have a problem when you're in the legislature. See a lot of my former colleagues like Bobby McCarthy and current reps, Tom and Christine and others. It's easier to stop them from doing bad things than to make them do good things. So in this case, though, we're going to make a deal, and we've told the Obama people, you will get the right to spend the $350 billion if you agree in binding form. We want to pass a law to the following thing. And this is one area where I'm willing to borrow from Ronald Reagan, because Reagan got it from the Russians. He got it from Gorbachev. Trust but verify. That's what we're going to do. Trust, but we're going to verify. So some of the money is going to have to go to foreclosure relief. Secondly, money that they gave to the banks. The banks are going to have to show how they spent it. We put restrictions on any bank using that money and trying to acquire another bank. They have to show that they could have done that without this, and they can only, if a bank takes money from us and wants to buy another bank, they have to show that they did it only because the other bank was about to fail and the taxpayers would have had to bail them out. We are going to require that before they give any new money to any bank, that bank has to show us how it's going to re-lend the bank. We're going to require that the money go to the community banks. Many of you know, community banks have not, they've been the victims of this. They didn't make subprime loans. They didn't do the bad stuff, and they've been charged, so they're going to be able to make some of those loans. There'll be very strict restrictions on compensation. We're going to ask the 9 big bank executives who got the money in the first round with 2 little restrictions, and we put some restrictions on, but Paulson fought us. We're going to put much tougher ones on compensation and the use of private airplanes. I'm going to ask them all a question, the 9 of them, and I've told them publicly I want them to be, I don't want to say, oh, I got to think about it. I want them to have thought about it. They get bonuses. Now these are people who are hired to do very important jobs at these companies and are very well paid. Then they say, but we need a bonus to make sure we do it right. So I have one simple question. What is it that you would stop doing if you didn't get a bonus? You've been hired to run these companies. I'm assuming you're doing your best, but apparently you're not doing your best unless you get a bonus. So I need to know, what do we get for the bonus? Would you like take off early on Wednesday? Stop trying to make a profit in this branch of activity? Because I don't think many people here get a bonus for doing the job that you were hired and paid to do. Or that you pay other people to do. And so this whole notion that you got to take the richest and most powerful people and bribe them to do their jobs in the first place, no. So we ban that in this bill. We're going to require in this bill that for the purchase of automobiles. It doesn't do any good to help them. By the way, one of the things that we saw a big Democratic-Republican difference. When it came to helping AIG, the big insurance company, this Congress didn't do this. This is what the Federal Reserve and the Bush people did on their own. They gave them $100 billion. Citigroup got hundreds of billions of dollars in guarantees. Then we talked about $17 billion for the auto companies. And all of a sudden, we had to worry about the average worker's pay. Now, a couple of months ago, when we talked about restricting the pay of the CEOs, they said, oh, that's terrible. You're interfering. But then, when it came to trying to keep the American auto companies from going bankrupt, what did they tell us? Oh, yeah, but the workers got to take a wage cut. I'll tell you what that proposal was. That, and this was literally what they wanted to put in the law, that the wages paid to American automobile workers, which they negotiated, and which, by the way, as many of you know, they've agreed to reduce. They've done some givebacks because they are being responsible. But what the Republicans wanted to say was the salary, the wages that are paid to American automobile workers working in the American companies will be set by the foreign automobile companies in America. Specifically, they wanted to make it a law that the American wages would be the wages that the foreign companies agreed to pay. By the way, there's a real double deal here, because if you're familiar with this, when the UAW tries to organize these plants run by Toyota and Nissan, which they generally put in the South to be protected against union drive, the owners tell the workers, oh, you don't have to join a union, because you know what? When the union bargains and gets higher wages, you benefit from that, because we will sort of match that, and you'll get that without paying the dues. So first, they use the fact that the unions bargain for good wages as an argument why these other people don't have to join unions. Then, having done that, they now want to tear down the wages that were achieved in the bargain, and again, literally say by law that foreign companies would set the wages of American workers in American-owned companies, no matter what the collective bargaining agreement said. Now that we're not going to do. Those are the changes that are being made. So we are going to make $350 billion available, but it's going to have money available for the smaller banks. It's going to have to require that people re-lend. It's going to do stuff about foreclosure. It's going to have tough restrictions on compensation. It's also, we believe, going to further bring down mortgage rates going forward. And I've worked with the community bankers, with the realtors, with the auto dealers. We're going to show the difference. And I welcome that as a matter of public policy, but also we're going to spend $350 billion. You know,